Commander Mr. Thompson, thank you very much for speaking to us. What kind of preventions are taken by the military, by NATO, against COVID-19?
Benan, thank you for this opportunity. And I would tell you the prevention measures taken all across NATO are very significant. And the number one priority for all of our headquarters is health of the force, protection of our people. And I can speak specifically in LANDCOM how we're doing that. We have put mitigation measures into place where we test everybody's temperature before they come into the garrison. We've reduced our manning. We are making great use of teleconferencing, distributed networking. Many people can work from home. And we have actually found some very good techniques here in the headquarters that we're going to keep for the future as we go forward. But we closed our gyms. We closed several of our dining facilities, kept one open just for takeout. And we're doing what's called physical distancing, not social distancing, but we all have our masks, keeping 2 meters apart, no more than 4 people together in a room, but it's been very successful so far. And we get tremendous support from Turkey. We are really blessed to be in Izmir, this headquarters. The Turkish host nation support brigade that supports us does a wonderful job. They disinfect our headquarters every 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, Thursday morning, they're going to come through and disinfect every building in the garrison. They even did my car one day. And they do that proactively, not waiting for any cases, and to keep the headquarters very clean.
Okay, and what is the last situation of coronavirus within headquarters? How's their health?
Well, we have been very fortunate. We have not had anybody in the headquarters come down with coronavirus. We've had a few people that had some symptoms. They got tested. We isolated them. But we have not had anybody contract coronavirus. In Izmir, there's been cases, but here within LANDCOM headquarters, and that's our military people, the civilians that work here, the contractors, and everybody else that comes on the base.
Okay, and what about health employees in LANDCOM? How are they working in LANDCOM?
So, we've got travel restrictions. A large part of our job has been travel, so we haven't been traveling essentially since early March, and we're doing video teleconferencing. But I go back to this physical distancing. So, a lot of times I used to have in this room, Ryan, 50 people could be in here. And we used to have 50 people in here every Friday morning for command and staff call. Now we do it from our offices on our NATO communication systems, and it's actually works very well. It's been a forcing function, and I've been pleasantly surprised at the way everybody can work spread out.
And how do you coordinate this process with other headquarters, with other countries?
That's a great question, and I will tell you that all across NATO, all 30 nations and the other headquarters that we deal with, we normally travel to conferences, and I spend personally 50% of every month on the road. Well, now I have all this extra time. So we do a lot of video teleconferencing. Last week, General Walters, who's the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, got together all 14 of his commanders from Italy, from Belgium, from the United Kingdom, from Turkey, and we had a commanders conference, and it was wonderful, and we were able to do this. So the other thing that we get from the other headquarters, so Italy, we have NATO headquarters in Italy, like Joint Force Command Naples. Yeah. They dealt with coronavirus much earlier than we did, and they shared the lessons and would come on to VTC and say, here's some good techniques to use to prevent it. If you have anybody get positive, you need to get them tested and do tracing teams. But these lessons have been shared all over, and we benefited it from here at this headquarters because we got a lot of those lessons. And as I mentioned, our Turkish host nation support brigade went right into action with all of these lessons that other headquarters learned.
But don't you have any difficulties in this process? What are the most difficulties in LANDCOM during this COVID-19?
So I think the travel restrictions is one of the tougher things we deal with. And at some point we will be able to travel. But so right now there's an exercise going on in Estonia, an annual exercise called Spring Storm. Normally we would have monitors there, trainers, people to capture lessons. Well, we're not traveling, so we can't be there. It's a little tough to do it when you're not there doing military training. But they don't want us there either, because that would add risk to it. So the travel restrictions are a little bit tougher. We normally send out mobile training teams all over NATO and even to partner nations, to like Tunisia, to Georgia. And so we haven't been doing that, but I will tell you that our deterrence activities have been continuing all across the NATO area of operations.
Also, you mentioned about the exercise, about the military exercise. How will this process will affect the military exercise of NATO in the future? What do you think about it?
We don't really know how it's going to affect it and how much, but it will affect it. And we have to adapt as a military for the future. I think President Erdogan even said yesterday, there'll be some type of new normal. He's exactly right. And certainly for the military, we're going to emerge from this smarter and stronger, but what we can't do is go back to our old ways of doing business. And we're still working through that. And those lessons right now from that exercise that's going on, they did tactical dispersion. They checked all the soldiers for symptoms ahead of time. Things like this, these face masks, not shaking hands, they're important, and they apply to military training as well. We might have to clean our equipment a lot more than we used to.
Yeah, but do you think does this virus change the military priorities or the NATO priorities?
I would tell you that right now today, NATO is the strongest and most successful military alliance in the world. And I think after COVID-19 passes and we come to a new normal, NATO will still be the strongest, most successful alliance. We're going to learn from this, but what's going to get us through this crisis, and it's playing out now, is teamwork, unity of effort, maintaining our cohesion. And I am just completely floored at the amount of teamwork going on, especially from Turkey, flying supplies to other nations, not just alliance members, but partner nations as well. And so everybody's working together, and I think we're going to get stronger from this.
But don't you think that we are passing to a kind of new world order?
I think that remains to be seen. That might be a little, I don't personally want to speculate about a new world order. There will be a new normal, no doubt about it, but I'd go back to, I think that NATO, what I worry about, is still going to be a very strong and successful alliance. Our mission remains the same. It is the deterrence and defense of the Euro-Atlantic area for all 30 of our nations. And it's those three core tasks that we do as NATO: collective defense, crisis response, and security cooperation. I think that will stay the same. How we go about doing that will be different.
But how will military methods change or might change in this process in the future?
Well, we're going to have to stay ready. Unfortunately, we live in a very complex and uncertain world. There are plenty of potential adversaries out there. We will still have to maintain a military qualitative edge, remain ready, and be able to respond immediately. Our boss talks to us about being ready. And when he says that, it means three things. It's about being responsive, responding quickly. It's about being resilient, being strong, and dealing with adversity, and being lethal. What we want is deterrence. Our goal is peace. But if worse comes to worst, we have to be prepared to defend that peace.
I also would like to ask a personal question. Do you see your family, your kids in this process?
Well, the same way I get to see you. I spend every day talking to them. My youngest son just had his 18th birthday. I was supposed to be home at the end of May to go to my son's high school graduation, but the high school graduation in Texas is now going to be virtual, so I get to be there. But I'll see them at the end of the summer, I'm sure. And we've been through long stretches before. I was just home in December, so I'll be home by the end of summer.
Okay, Mr. Thompson. Would you like to add anything else? Would you like to underline another topic?
I just like to say to everybody, this is an invisible enemy, and this is a crisis, and it doesn't know borders. And my condolences go to all the families and people that have been affected by COVID-19. I mean, there's been deaths, people hospitalized, and we need to keep all them in the thoughts and prayers. And that's why teamwork is so important. And, I also just reinforce what I said up front. We are so blessed to be in Izmir. Everybody in this command loves being here. I mean, there's great medical capacity and expertise here. Turkey bends over backwards, and they are fantastic hosts. And I like the way Turkey is dealing with this crisis, and we comply with all the mandates put out by the government, and we want to be good guests in this beautiful country as well.
Thank you, Commander Thompson. Thank you very much for this interview.
Teşekkürler. It's great talking to you, and I wish you well, and please be safe.
Thank you. You too. Please be safe.
Haberde kalmak için abone olmayı ve beğen butonuna basmayı unutmayın. Yayında kal Türkiye.